My wife told me that I'm not allowed to bring our children to my parents' house. What do I do? We live about 10 minutes from my parents' house. My parents built a home on a large piece of land, and had a pool built. Around the pool was a 3-foot fence made of hot wire. Not the ideal safety fence for young children. My wife said the children are not allowed there without us there with them, for safety concerns, which I understood. During that time, we made it clear to my parents what our concern was. My mom said she understood and was working on a solution. After a few months, they decided to extend the fence up to 6 feet. Now my wife is telling me that since they refused to install a safe pool fence, our kids aren't allowed there anymore, even with us there. I'm pretty pissed off and conflicted because I saw the 6-foot fence currently installed, and sure, it's not the ideal child-safe pool fence, but it's in my eyes good enough. I know my children would not be able to climb that, and if so, my mom is very attentive to the kids when they are there. This is a big point of friction for my wife and I. I'm tempted to say damn it and just bring them anyways, but I'm not trying to push it so far where divorce becomes any kind of option. I blew up on my wife when she brought it up. She knows every time she brings it up it's an issue, because I'm stressed from recent changes at work, Marine Reserves, and school. I love my wife, but recently she's been very against my family. My sister-in-law decided to get very big into those smut books, to the point where she's sharing some pretty disturbing stuff to social media, so now my wife said we won't go to any family functions if my sil is invited. Because she doesn't want our kids around that type of person. Which I get, but I don't want to be the person to have to explain that and tell my parents I won't hang out with the family for the holidays. Recently my mom has been coming to my daughter's soccer games, and my wife just barely acknowledges her. The tensions is insane, and my mom tries talking to my wife, but my wife will be short and hardly ever even look at my mom. I just don't know what to do here and needed to vent. Of course when I blew up on my wife, she made me out to be the bad guy and about how she just wants the kids to be safe. This just happened and I'm still coming down from being pissed, so sorry if it seems like I'm just rambling. What should I say? Should I just bring my kids anyways? I just want one thing in my life to be normal, and if I can't have a normal relationship with my parents, then I just don't think I'll ever have any sort of a normal life. Comment. My dad was just like yours and didn't believe a kid would just jump into a pool or that he would always have an eye on us. I was 6 when I had to jump in and save my little brother from drowning after he jumped into a pool that didn't have a fence around it and our parents were inside. I'll never forget that feeling of realizing just how little our parents gave a shit about our safety, and that I as a child now had to keep a lookout for danger. Your wife has a solid point. I went to a funeral a few years ago for a young child, best friend's nephew, who had drowned in the grandparents' hot tub. He got under the cover and got trapped. He was only out of an adult sight for a few minutes. Nobody knew he'd even gotten outside. They thought the house was secure and the hot tub was safe enough. There's a very good reason many places require by law a fence around a pool or hot tub. Too bad so many kids had to die before that shit was taken seriously, and more like Up will suffer loss before realizing how important those fences are. Up, have your parents visit your kids at your house until they install a proper fence. Your wife is right about that. The rest of it? Y'all need to talk. I think your first and only priority in all of this should be your children's safety. I work in the medical field, and what I always find parents saying is, I never expected my kid to do that when they get injured or worse. They are so unpredictable, in any situation, that a crappy attempt at offense is just asking for danger. You should see this as your parents not actually caring about their well-being. Sure, their pool, their house, their ideals. But that doesn't mean you have to entertain that by going over. I also bet your wife sees that and or maybe seeing more than you on just this matter. It would probably be best if you two step back from family for a bit and work on communicating together better. And waiting for the storm of chaos you're going through to pass. I've seen multiple accidental drownings of young children getting into bodies of water when they're not supposed to. It really only takes a few minutes. One was a pool that the family did not have any kind of gate or fence securing it. The kid was out of sight for 5 minutes, and was found by the babysitter in a small pond behind the house. Wife's concerns are legit. And with the fact that his parents seem to not give a shit and seem to think it isn't an issue, she has a right to be a little pissed at them. She sees it as them not caring for their grandchildren's safety. They can say that they'll never have their eyes off them all they want, but that just won't be realistic. My family was having a pool party at my grandparents' house when I was 2. Everyone was hanging out around the pool when my mom saw my 9-year-old brother in the pool with me. She scolded him as she had told him not to play with me in the pool. He wasn't playing with me. He watched me slip into the pool unnoticed and walk along the bottom to the deep end. If he hadn't been watching me, I would have died. That's with a group of adults within feet of the pool. I don't blame the wife one bit. Similar situation of being at a pool party with similar ages, except I, 8-9YRS, was the older sibling that noticed my younger sister, 1-2 year, fall into the pool at the deeper end. I jumped in after her, but I wasn't tall enough to reach the bottom and walk out, and I couldn't coordinate being able to swim and keep her above water. So I lifted her above my head so she was out of the water, but that meant my head was under. I remember thinking I should try to walk towards the shallow end like that, but was running out of air. I'm assuming she was crying and caught my older sister's, 12-13YRS, attention. She was able to scoop her up before I drowned and then lil sis down after. It all happened so fast. I don't think any of the adults noticed until my older sister went to scoop her up. My son is 4 years and I still watch him like a hawk, am never on my phone or anything, or more than a few feet away from him at the pool. Especially since he is still learning to swim. I wouldn't go over to a house with a pool without a proper gate either. Next story 2. Girlfriend cheated on me with coworker, but there's a problem. Context: my GF, dating for 3 years, live in short drive from each other towns while at home and 15 minutes drive while we were both at college away from home, was getting off work at around 10 p.m. and texted me that she was off like she always does. I text LMK when you are home, only lives like 8 minutes from work, she says of course, then I don't hear from her until 5 a.m. I am calling and texting her from 11 p.m. until 2:30 a.m. and then pass out because I had to get up the next morning for work. I wake up at around 4:30 a.m., call again, nothing, check her location and see that her phone is still in the parking lot she parks her car in right next to her job every day. At this point I'm thinking something is definitely off here, she should definitely be home or I shouldn't be up at 4:30 a.m. I just had this like otherworldly gut feeling something bad was happening, everything was aligning too precisely to be a coincidence. Watching her location I see her start driving home and instantly she texts me the moment she gets home, sorry babe, I didn't mean to scare you, I fell asleep when I got home, I'm going back to bed, I have to get up soon for work. Immediately I'm thinking there's already multiple things wrong here. Lied about thing, tried to cover said thing up with another lie, etc. I instantly respond calling her out, why did your location just say you got home? She gets very defensive, we go back and forth and says she didn't want to tell me but her and her coworker were talking in her car, then he left and she fell asleep on accident. This coworker is the typical please stop talking to this person, obviously trying to get with you while you're in a committed relationship type of guy, added with my gut feeling I knew she was lying. I basically let it ride for 2 weeks, already knowing it was over, and then she finally caved and told me she cheated on me in the car that night, but she said they only made out for 3 hours on and off, nothing more. Saw where everything was going, had a long talk with her about her actions and what went wrong, and we both agreed we would check in later down the line, but neither of us were going to date for a while, surely. Whatever, all good. Saw this was becoming the stereotypical toxic story by continuing to talk to her, so I explained that I'm still expecting her to pay it back fully and she responded I'm not gonna skimp out, left her, unadded her on all social media, etc. We did not really end on the best terms. Basically ended with her friend texting me all the supposed wrongs I did in the relationship, because GF thought it was too awkward to tell me herself. I sent her a long message expressing my thoughts and sadness, then unadded her from everything after getting the last word in before she could respond. Since then, almost 2 months, I have had no contact with her and was starting to do better mentally until yesterday I went on Spotify and saw on my home screen in my recommended a new collaborative playlist made by her, and guess who? The guy she cheated on me with. Same playlist title as mine and hers, just with his initial instead of mine. All the songs she had on our playlist are on theirs, etc. basically identical. Of course I would be shown this without even trying to figure it out and also not even being friends with her anymore on the app, but whatever, this just confirms they are dating. Here's the problem. She owes me $7,000. I graduated college 2 years before she will and had some time to save. She was in a rough spot with her family and wasn't going to be able to go back to school without the money. I, in all my stupidity, loaned her the money, most of my money at the time. She went to school with it, loaned her the money her sophomore/my senior year, got some scholarships, became an RA and got a job on campus, essentially having the school pay her in the last semester before we broke up. My dilemma is, do I text/call her asking for the money back, or do I keep the streak of no contact for longer? Also, how do I ask for it back without sounding like a scumbag? She is definitely petty, so me giving her any sort of attention just feels wrong, and she will take it as a win in her book. I just want to get the money back, inflict as little damage as possible, and then fully move on with my life. Comment. Text and ask her for the money. Have her text you back saying she will pay you back or she doesn't have it. That would be admitting she owes you the money. Save the texts. Take her to small claims court or tell her you are taking her to court. She might just pay up or start making payments. If she starts making payments, keep paperwork to keep track and evidence. Take her ass to small claims court so you know that she will pay you back in writing. Collect all the instances of you giving money and be prepared to show proof in court. Write her an email detailing everything about the loan and request she provide a timeline of her payback. Her response might prove valuable if you have to sue her. You absolutely need to reach out for the sole purpose of establishing a repayment schedule that can be put to paper and signed. It would be unreasonable, even if you were still together, to expect full payment right away and all at once. Your mental health is way more important than the money. Karma will take care of her, otherwise you will need to be in touch with her until you get that back, and your time is worth more not wasted on her in your head rent-free. I don't suppose you had her sign an agreement that stated that you had loaned her the $7,000 for her college expenses, which were to be paid back when she got a job? Probably not, because of love. At his point, I'd not care if she considered it a win if you contacted her about the repayment of the $7,000. Getting the $7,000 back will definitely be a win for you. Or it could be that you'll never get the $7,000 back, and that it will be the price of learning to keep love and cold, hard cash completely separate. In a series of texts, get her to discuss the loan and her plans to pay it back. Even if she fights and parses, if she openly acknowledges the debt, then raise various repayment plans. She doesn't have to follow any of them. What you really want at the point is her admission that she owes you. You don't need magic words, so don't try to get her to say anything that might make her suspect your intentions. Be clever and conversational. You might tell that it's part of gaining closure. Anything that gets her say, "Yeah, I know I have to pay you back." Once you get that, try to work out a payment plan in writing. She probably will default. That's when you go to small claims court with your evidence and get a judgment. You have years to enforce it. She's going to get a job someday.